Hey guys, Greenberg Gaming here. Today I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks on Madden 16 Draft Champions. So the way Draft Champions works is you start off by picking a coach, and then there are 15 player draft rounds. So it usually starts off with one of these elite rounds, and my number one advice to you in Madden 16 Draft Champions is play the way that you want to play. Meaning don't go by the highest overall or by the guy who best fits the short pass and run stuff. In my case, pick the player who's best going to run the way that you want to run your game. So if you prefer to play offense over defense, pick more offensive oriented players. If you prefer to run lots of quarterback runs, pick a good lineman and a good fast quarterback and a good running back as well, who is going to enable you to run that type of fast offense. And also, if you noticed, I picked Chip Kelly for my coach, which many people might overlook the coach round, but that's an important choice because if you know anything about Chip Kelly, he runs that high-powered, option-heavy offense. So that's why you're going to see later on I picked the quarterback that I do because he goes with Chip Kelly's scheme. Even though he has long pass instead of short pass, he goes well with Chip Kelly's scheme because he's a good, fast quarterback and he's got good throwing power. So that's why I pick the way that I do. Now, when I go to these defensive rounds, defensive only, I typically pick the highest overall. And here's what I was talking about before. I typically pick the highest overall defensive player just because defense isn't as important to me. And like I said before, this is a classic example of not picking the highest overall player necessarily, but picking Russell Wilson is because that's the type of offense that I want to run. And this is the same thing. There's typically one of these rounds at least every draft where it's going to give you a quarterback, defensive player, and an offensive player, and you've got to pick between them. And 99% of the time, I'm going to pick that offensive player because I prefer to run offense over defense. And now I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit because I could have gotten Cam Newton here, and I could have picked the right tackle who would have went better with my offense. But still, Russell Wilson's my quarterback, and I end up going on to win the Draft Championship. So I'm fine with the way that this draft went. I just showed this draft because it's a good example of picking a good team. And again, with the defensive players, I'm just going with, I like picking linebackers at defense because they're playmakers, and I like linebackers and I like corners. Those are typically the positions that I'm going to go for the most. And this draft, I don't end up, I believe, getting a good middle linebacker, but having a good middle linebacker is important. And here's, like I said before, I like having skills players, and Jimmy Graham is great at tight end, and he can go out wide. He's versatile, and he's a great guy overall to have, so that's why I went with Jimmy Graham there. And typically, you're going to get one of these 77 overall rounds. They're kind of stinky, but I just go with Darnell Dockett sometime eventually. It takes me a while to pick him, but because he does go with the run stuff, and I don't really have that great of a defensive line so far, so I decided to go with Darnell Dockett if I do ever pick. There we go. And now, typically there's going to be one Legends round every single draft. I haven't had one without it. And because I have my quarterback, it enables me to go with Alfred Morris here, who is going to really round out my good overall running offense. But in this elite round, there's usually going to be at least one wide receiver. Here I get two, but I end up going with free safety Steve Atwater because I already have a couple of good wide receivers. So I go with Atwater because I only have a 72 overall safety right there. And this was a really solid draft. But like I said, the number one advice I have for you in Madden Draft Champions is to pick players who are going to run the type of offense or defense you want to play. And if you prefer defense over offense, make sure those offense and defensive player rounds come up that you're picking that defensive player. Don't necessarily go by the highest overall or the guy who best goes with your schemes because of your coach. Pick the guy who's going to run the type of plays that you're going to want to run and is going to run them well. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more Madden 16 advice videos like this. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.